Hey, Brutal Planet followers. This is Eric Peterson in Salt Lake City today, and it is my pleasure to be joined by the amazing Chuck Wright. How are you doing today, Chuck?
I'm feeling amazing. No,
You are amazing, man.
Thanks,
you
man.
are amazing.
Well, you know what? I always say I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with, and I've been very blessed to have great people around me, all the best drummers. I mean, for a bass player, you got to have a great drummer, and I've been very blessed with that for sure, and other musicians.
Yeah.
On my new record that I just put out, my first debut album, I have 41 of my friends and guests on it. So
yeah, that's
and they're all amazing. So yeah.
Where are you joining us from today, by the way?
I'm in LA.
Nice. How are things
outside LA? I mean, I'm like, I think 12 to 14 minutes from Hollywood, West Hollywood.
Okay. How are things down there?
Pardon?
How are things down there?
Oh, well, it's great. I run an event in West Hollywood at the legendary Whiskey A Go-Go called Ultimate Jam Night.
Nice.
It used to be every week. I started it in 2015, and I coordinate between 45 and up to 100 musicians.
Wow.
Professional musicians. Mostly you would know them or they're associated with somebody. And I started that to kind of help the music community because DJs are starting to take over and DJs can't jam, right?
No.
So, but it's a really organized. It's not a jam like people think. Oh, you just show up and get up and play. It's not that at all. Everybody knows what song they're going to play, when they're going to play, the key it's in. Even the endings, I'll send a video. This is how it's going to end, so everybody's on the same page. And we have a different theme each week.
Nice.
Our last show was Britain Rock, so I just took artists from Britain, and then I realized in researching that there are so many great artists out of the UK that this is part 1, and they'll probably be a part 16 eventually.
Nice.
And a few weeks before that, we did a benefit for Ukraine, raising money for the World Central Kitchen, and actually had a family that just was relocated here because their place was totally bombed out, and they came on stage, and the father talked, and their little 7-year-old daughter sang "We Are the World," the verse and a chorus of that. It was a really touching thing. So that's what I do in Hollywood, and now it's every other Tuesday. And I have people around me that help me with that when I'm not here. Jessica Chase and Adam Mandel are a couple of people that work with me on it.
Remind me, you said the place that is benefited from the one you just did, the kitchen. What was the name of that place?
It's called World Central Kitchen.
Okay.
And what they do is they feed the refugees.
Oh, okay.
Like they're all set up for when people are leaving, like the border, they're all set up to feed, or they go in and feed people. So we raise thousands of dollars to help feed, the Ukrainian refugees during this terrible time,
Well, that's great. That's great that you're doing that. And it's something that I think we should all support at a time like this. Yeah,
we definitely need to pay attention to what's going on and try to help if we can, or when we can. I'm only doing a little bit I can. And one of the songs on my new record, Chuck Wright Sheltering Skies, the name of it, the song is called Throwing Stones. And it happens to be an anti-war song, which lyrically was written by Joe Retta, who sings it before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And it's just sad serendipity that song is out now. And I made the decision to I love the way that the energy of the song, but to do a video for that particular song for my second single. And of course, because of what's going on in the world, has that kind of feeling. There's reflective of war stuff going on in the video itself.
Yeah. So
check it out if you get a chance.
The album's called Sheltering Sky, which was released on the 20th of May, correct?
Right, just a week or so ago.
How's the album doing overall?
Well, I can only judge by the reviews and the response from people, and it's been beyond my wildest expectations.
Good.
Because it's so diverse, I wasn't sure how it would be received. Most people, if they don't really know my full catalog of records I've been involved in or what I do as a musician, they're going to expect just like maybe a Quiet Riot sounding record, a House of Lords sounding record, but it's not that at all.
Yeah.
I never intended on making a solo record. When the pandemic hit, I had the time. Before the pandemic, I was on the road every weekend with Quiet Riot and running Ultimate Jam Night every week, coordinating all these musicians. So there was just no time. So now that I'm here now, just at home, I started just composing music that I want to hear, music that I like, no agenda, not like when you're in a band, well, it's got to sound like this, or having a label say, well, you need to have this song or that song.
Yeah.
I just did what I liked.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it's been well received, that people appreciate the fact that it's so diverse. I cover like progressive rock, jazz fusion, industrial hard rock. I even have a Celtic piece on the record.
Yeah.
It could be in Braveheart. And I have a folky kind of piece that's like a Robert Plant, Alison Krauss type song on there. Kind of covers a lot of territory. It's very cinematic feeling. It's really deep. A lot of things going on. Like, how Pink Floyd record has a lot of elements. Yeah. This has a lot of those elements because that's what I love, So I just did what I like.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that very admirable because, so many times people get, like you said, get pigeonholed into, you got to make this kind of an album or you got to make this kind of but as an artist, me being not a musician, but an artist myself, it's not fun to have to do something that people expect you to do.
Yeah. I like painting outside the lines, as they say,
Yeah.
And just go for it. If I'm listening, because it's my thing, I go, you know what? I think a violin complementing the guitar line would sound really good here. I'll try it.
Yeah.
One song, the Throwing Stones songs I was talking about, I had 3 different solos. I did a harmonica solo, then I did an organ solo, and then finally the guitar solo was the one I went with because it was just the right vibe. So you try things, you see what's going to work, and whatever feels the best, and that's kind of what I was able to do.
You talk about the diversity on the album, and a number of the songs are your own songs, but there are two covers you did on there.
Yeah.
And those pretty much explain the diversity on the album. Tell us about what made you choose those 2 tracks.
First off, the first single I put out and video is a cover of Bjork's 1995 hit "Army of Me."
Yeah. And
the way that came about was I used to get together with my late friend from Mr. Big, Pat Torpey, the drummer, at his place. He had a studio, and I'd get together with him and Lanny Cordola, who you might know was with House of Lords with me, and I've done a lot of different albums with him and 7 film scores with him. But we would get together and just write. And one day, Pat goes, "Yeah, I really dig the way that Bjork took that John Bonham Levy Breaks drum beat and built a song around it." And then we just started jamming on it, and we recorded it. I'm not even playing the exact bass part from her song. It's close, So a while back, I was looking for some music files, and I came across these tracks that we did that were never finished. It's drums, rhythm guitar, and bass. And then we just put it away, right? And I go, this is brilliant. I got to finish these. This is exciting. It's fun. So there's 3 songs on the album from those sessions that I then took those songs and built from there. Okay. And, partly to honor Pat, he was like one of my closest friends since 80. We were in a band in 83 together, so we go way back, and I'd see him in softball on Sundays, every Sunday. And, we were really good friends. So I just go, I'm not going to just let this evaporate into thin air, so that's Throwing Stones is a song he's actually playing drums on, but I had my friend Tasha Jones from Saliva. Actually, she's so great on film. I had her lip sync to Pat's drumming in the video.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's how the Bjork song came about. The other song is called Darkness, Darkness. It's a cover. And that song came out in 1969. It's from a band called the Youngbloods. Jesse Colin Young wrote it and sang it. And it's a song I've always loved. I love the feeling of the song, the message in the song. And I've always wanted to redo it like full on Celtic. Yeah. So I have 3 drummers playing tribal drumming. I have fiddle. I have mandolin. I have Bahrain. I even have alien pipe, which people are familiar with alien pipe from Titanic. That horn sound. That's all in there, and then it goes into a jig at the end.
Nice.
It's really moody, and then it kicks ass right at the end of it. So that's how that came about. It's just a song I've always wanted to cover. So, and David Victor, who sang with Boston for a couple of years, just does a great vocal on that.
Yeah, I mean I think it's really nice that you were able to pay tribute to some of your idols growing up. I mean, obviously that song had a lasting effect on you, and it's really great that you have the ability to say thank you for doing that and inspiring my life.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those songs that, like, when I pick up an acoustic guitar and you're just jamming, I'll like start playing that song because I love it,
Yeah.
and just start singing. I actually was I sing on most of the records that I've been in bands. I'm a background, like all the Quiet Riot records. I've sang every freaking note of the backgrounds on that. But I was going to sing, and then I go, you know what? I've got all these amazing people that would love to be a part of this. Just why diminish my own thing?
Yeah,
my voice?
Yeah.
So David Victor's an amazing singer, way better than I'd ever be. So he's singing on it.
So you mentioned a lot of the people that you have on. I mean, we talked a little bit about some of the people you have on the album. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that you were able to recruit for it.
Well, the way it all started was when the pandemic hit. I was looking around and everything felt post-apocalyptic. Like there's nobody on the, all the cities are empty. And I just wrote this piece of music called The Weight of Silence, the heavy weight of everything being quieted. And I cut together, I'm playing everything, and I edited together a video with some drone footage of the empty cities. And I put that out myself on YouTube. Like everybody, as you know, we're doing their little Zoom videos or whatever, and putting it out there. So I figure, I'll put out my thing too. So I put that out there, and I got a call from Troy Lucetta from Tesla, the drummer. Mm-hmm. And he said, who I knew, I did a thing, Montrose thing with him. And I know him through Keith Emerson, the Emerson band. But anyway, he said, he goes, man, I really dig that track. He goes, you know what? It would sound really good with drums on it. And I go, wow, never thought about that. He's got a studio. I go for it. So while he's doing drums, I get another friend reaches out, Alan Hines. He's an amazing jazz fusion guitar player. We were talking about the song, and he goes, hey, I'll throw some guitar solos on it. So he did some kind of David Gilmour, Alan Holsworthy kind of, I don't know, vibe to it. Sent me these solos, and I edited it together because he did this one thematic thing based on something I had played. Mm-hmm. And I edited it, copied it, and put it in a couple spots. So it's a theme. So suddenly it has a whole new thing. And then I reached out to, as that was happening, I reached out to a friend of mine named Derek Sherinian, who you might know from Dream Theater and mm-hmm. Sons of Apollo, and his own solo stuff is amazing. I just said, hey, I heard you like the tune. You want to play some Mellotron and synthesizers on it? And he goes, sure, man. So I put that out. I edited. I had, Derek wouldn't go on film, but the other guys, Alan and Troy, filmed themselves playing the song. So I edited them into the first video that I put out. Right. Yeah. So cut to now, 3 days before my record came out, which was just a couple weeks, not even 2 weeks ago, I get notified that I just won Best Instrumental, Best Video for that song, Weight of Silence, for the Rock Music Alliance Awards.
Oh, wow.
I was up against Joe Satriani and John Five and a bunch of other great people. And Tony Kaye from Yes was the presenter. And I wasn't aware I was nominated. It's like, wow, that's cool. Yeah. So, and I'm going to see those people down at NAMM. I'm going to NAMM tomorrow, which a lot of people probably don't know what NAMM is, but it's a huge gathering of all the merchants, people that sell gear, and all the musicians come together. And there's a lot of performances everywhere. National Association of Music Merchants. And I'm going to go to their booth. Huh?
Did they move it? Because it usually is earlier in the year.
It's in January, but because of COVID, it's in June. I don't know when they're going to go back to January, but I kind of like it that it's at this time of year. But we'll see. Hopefully, it's not a big petri dish how it always is. Everybody goes, "Oh, you're going to go to NAMM. You're going to get NAMthrax." That's what they called it. But now we have COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't shake hands. I just bump.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It's not over. It'll be a while. I think this is going to be like the cold or something from now on.
Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, so that's how that came about. And throughout the album process, I would think of guys that I thought would be, good for a part. I go, you know what? Who would probably dig this? And then I would say, hey, check out this song I'm working on. What do you think about doing something on it? Whatever they're playing, right? They go, yeah, this is great. I'd love to play on it. So basically, everybody just jumped on board because they dug the music.
See, I'm going to go back. See, I'm going to go back to my original statement, which was I'm joined by the amazing Chuck Wright. All of this you just told me just proves my point, because if you weren't amazing or you weren't any of that, none of these people would want to do it. So it just tells me that you're amazing, a musician and a good guy, because people want to be a part of stuff.
Well, I think that's part. I think that what I sent them musically resonated with them, and they got it. And I really thought that they'd be right for it. I mean, that's what I do with Ultimate Jam Night is I go, who'd be good for this song?
Yeah.
And I kind of reach out and say, hey, do you want to do this? And we put it all together. Or sometimes there's people that want to play together. They go, hey, I've always wanted to play with whoever it is. Or I'll put somebody together like Sugarfoot Moffett and Greg Wright, who both did the Michael Jackson Thriller tour. They hadn't played together since then. I got a hold of them. I go, hey, do you guys want to come down and do my jam and play together again? And they did.
Yeah.
Things like that are always fun to do.
Yeah.
We actually did one event where we got the complete Eat 'Em and Smile band, which is a David Lee Roth.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? And David Lee Roth was sitting in the green room. The band's on stage. I was fighting with the club. This is when we started it at a different location before the whiskey. Say, don't let any more people in. We're going to get shut down. They go, no, let everybody in. It's like, sure enough, I'm not exaggerating. 3 minutes before the curtains were going to open, the fire marshal shut us down. So that didn't happen. We did recreate it at NAMM when we did we would do a show at NAMM all the time. And we did the Eat 'Em and Smile band, but we didn't have David Lee Roth. Jeff Scott Soto, who's a brilliant singer, and actually is on my album, he fronted them, which was great. It was great seeing, Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan, Greg Bissonette, Brett Tuttle, all those guys come out and play.
So my next question for you is I know that a lot of these songs, or all of them, are your babies somewhat, but is there any song that stands out to you that has a special meaning that you want to mention to us?
Well, there's a song called The Other Side on there. It's kind of a Zeppelin-y kind of feel. I actually got the phone call, which I was expecting at some point, that Frankie Banali had passed as he was fighting pancreatic cancer. And at that time, it brought forth the feelings that from the loss of my mom and I've lost like 6 or 7 friends, really close friends. So right next to me was the 12-string guitar. I picked it up, wrote the song top to bottom, even the bridge, everything. The chorus I did came out about I'll see you on the other side, whenever that may be. And then I finished the verses with a singer named August Young that Frankie had been working with most recently in a Zepp band. And I brought in a couple other guys from that Zepp band to play on it. And I actually ended up having 5 guitar players on that. And I think the solo is brilliant by Jude Gold, who's from Jefferson Starship. Just amazing guitar solo. And he does some other stuff on the record too, soloing wise, but that song really stands out to me. Bass playing wise, Throwing Stones. Yeah. So one reviewer compared that to sounds like Primus meets Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, I could see that. Totally see that.
Yeah, because I'm doing all kinds of crazy bass stuff. But as far as I go, I want to get a chance to show off a little bit. This is not, like when bass players do a solo album, it's not one of those instrumental bass albums at all. It's a songwriter production album with a lot of great people on it.
Well, you mentioned Frankie, and that was actually someplace I really wanted to go because myself being someone who fought cancer, I always make it a goal myself to honor those people that have lost the battle. I wondered if you wouldn't mind sharing a story or two about Frankie that is really endearing to you. Well,
he was a unique character. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when he called me up, after we lost Kevin, he decided he didn't want to do Quiet Riot anymore. So, because he then owned the name and everything. So he just, and then 3 years later, he had a talk with Kevin's mom about starting it back up. And she said, if it was you, Kevin would have kept going the next week. He would have just kept going.
Yeah.
So Frankie called me and he said, hey, do you want to do this again? And I said, well, it'll be interesting trying to fill, Kevin's shoes. And there we have there's a movie that was on Showtime for 2 years called Well, Now You're Here, There's No Way Back. The Quiet Riot movie. And it kind of tells the story of us trying to get the singer back. And if you really, there's a lot of insightfulness as to him, but he wore a lot of hats. I mean, he was the manager, he was the tour manager, obviously the drummer, and he oversaw every slight detail. So he was like my friend and my boss. Like when we're being friends, we talk about, he loves jazz fusion, he loves progressive rock like me, and we would talk music all the time. But in the Quiet Riot thing, it's all business. So you got to be here. We're going to be doing this. We're going to do that. It was like that. So it was like dealing with two completely different people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a unique. I mean, we were together as a rhythm section for 26 years. I'm on 9 Quiet Riot albums. Releases, and a lot of people still don't recognize me as a Quiet Riot guy. But you know what? That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That just because my face wasn't. I mean, I'm on Bang Your Head, I Don't Want to Let You Go. Which Bang Your Head's a pretty big song, and I sing on everything, but perception is important. Yeah. But yeah, that's Frankie's. Like I said, he was a very, very unique individual, a total animal lover, and there was a lot of that. I don't know if people that follow him on Facebook, you'll see a lot of the animal. Yeah,
I saw a lot of the stuff that he did on Instagram, and he was very much an animal advocate and an animal lover. So he's definitely he will be missed. I actually, if people want to see, I put together a nice memorial piece on him. I edited it. It took me 3 days, and it was really tough to do. But you can go to my channel, check my channel on YouTube, and you'll see it there as one of my videos. It's a memorial to Frankie. And it kind of covers him, I'll put a link to that.
I mean, there's interviews with him, and there's photos. It's not really long. It's not a super long piece, but it definitely covers a lot. So
I'll put a link on this to that, because I think that would be a great thing for people.
It's a nice tie into this whole talking.
Yeah. And then so back to your album. I'm sorry, I didn't want to switch things around.
But that's all right.
Do you have any intentions on playing any of this live?
Well, I would love to be able to do the kind of show that represents this music from top to bottom, but I would need Roger Waters' budget. Yeah. Or I just saw Paul McCartney. I mean, there's so much music going on within the tracks, and I'd want it to be an immersive rear screen projections and this whole thing. I would love to do that. I could possibly do a few songs off of this and some other songs from past things that I've written from other bands I've been in, and a more stripped down version. But we'll see if people, if this album resonates with enough people and there's the demand, then I'll try to make something happen. Definitely. Yeah. Right now, I'm just trying to get the word out about the record so people give it a chance to listen to it. I want this to be my legacy, not something I recorded in 1983, because this really speaks to what I'm about as a musician. Yeah. More than anything else. I find it's interesting to me because a lot of artists have, they make their name with stuff, like you said, back in 1983, but moving forward, it's not how they want to be remembered, which I completely understand, because your early work isn't always your best work, even though it's the most popular work. Well, yeah. Well, for me, for instance, Bang Your Head, I mean, the bass is loud. It's done well. It's played well. It's not something I wrote. I mean, that song originally was called No More Booze. Yeah. It was a snow song, but it changed that album changed the fabric of the whole music scene. It went from being a new wave, Skinny Tide, Knack, the Motels, music. That's what was going on. And then Come On Feel the Noise came out, and it changed everything. Yeah. Blew the doors right open for all these other bands like Rat or Cinderella or whoever. Yep. And then the labels wanted to sign anybody that had, a hard rocking band with long hair. Yeah, exactly. Just what went down, Yeah. And then you got to do some amazing tours. Yeah. Can you give us an example of some of your favorite ones? Well, I was working with Montrose, Ronnie Montrose, with Eric Singer from Kiss. Okay. Who also played with Alice Cooper.
Yep.
And then when Alice Cooper was going to do their follow-up to Brutal Planet, by the way, speaking of Brutal Planet.
That's why I got the name. I love that.
So to follow up to that was the Dragontown. Greg Smith, who had been playing bass with him, was leaving to go do a Broadway show, I think, or something. I don't remember. And Eric said, hey, listen, you want to play bass with Alice Cooper? Just come down and jam with the guys and see how it goes. And I said, well, I'm doing Montrose, but he doesn't really work that much. And this was a 75-city, 17-country tour that started in Moscow and ended in Lisbon, Portugal. And we did the United States and Canada. And so I went and did that. And that was like a highlight for me in my life, was being in that band. Eric Singer and Eric Dover, all these, it was a great band. Working with Alice, it was amazing. And I got to hang out with him all the time. We would always go shopping together. I for some reason, him and I would get together all the time. He goes, hey, you want to go? So we would go. And one of the things that was fun is that he liked to find a bargain. And then he would come backstage and show it off and brag. Oh, look what I got. It was only blah, blah, blah. And then he'd go, who wants it? And then he'd give it away. But he just was all about getting a great deal on something cool. He gave me some blue snakeskin boots.
Nice.
Let's check these out. You want these? I go, yeah, man. So, that was a super highlight for me. And of course, my very first arena tour, actually my first tour, happened to be very blessed to be on sold out arenas. We started with Deep Purple, and then we jumped on. This is with the band Jafria, that I was asked to replace the bass, and then I joined the band. And we had a hit single called "Call to Your Heart."
Yep.
And we got on the Perfect Strangers tour with Deep Purple, and I remember the very first night. It's hard to explain that feeling, but when you're standing in the wings and the house lights go off and the crowd just goes nuts. We were in Texas, so Texas crowds are anyway. And it was festival seating, so everybody's standing. It wasn't like in their chairs going. It was like It was intense, and it's a feeling I'll never forget. It's almost addictive. I think that's why a lot of guys guys don't need to keep playing, but they do it. It's like, it's a great experience. And then we jumped on the Foreigner tour. They had I Want to Know What Love Is was a #1 song. Yeah. And that was great too. So those stand out. House of Lords tour with Cheap Trick was awesome. Cheap Trick guys, they're friends, really fun guys. And that tour was great.
Who was singing on the Perfect Strangers tour?
That was a reunition when they reunited with Ian Gillan and Ian
okay. Page. That's what I thought. I wondered if it was.
Yeah, it was the full band from the in rock era.
Nice.
Which was my favorite record when I was like in the 9th grade, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So you've gotten to see some amazing singers too in your time.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've worked with a lot of really great, personally working with great singers. Greg Allman. I worked with Greg Allman on an album, and in touring, definitely. And running Ultimate Jam Night, I have great singers. There's a lot of really, really great people out there.
I was looking through. I mean, I'm very familiar with a lot of your work, but I was looking through your Wikipedia, and to see your Wikipedia, your credits on Wikipedia, it just blows you away, because you look at all the stuff you've done, from Doro and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. It's just amazing how much you've just built these roots to go out all over the place.
Yeah, I do a lot of some of them were bands, some of them were just sessions like Doro. Yeah. Gene Simmons was producing that, so he called me in to do some bass on it, and but one of them was a killer band with Graham Bonnet called Impellitteri. But that was his band, and then I got the call to do by Greg Jafria called me up and asked if I'd be interested in putting a band together. That Gene Simmons would sign it if we put the right band together. So that's how House of Lords came to be. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the records, I'm a session guy. That's why I've done country and I've done rap and I've done all these other styles. But some of them were bands too. Blackthorn with Bob Kulick was my late friend. Was a band with also with Graham Bonnet. Yeah. So my last question for you, I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm curious as to,
what else do you have going right now? I mean, we talked a little bit about your jam sessions.
Well, yeah, it's Ultimate Jam Night's more of an event than just a jam session, but and it's very time consuming. I'm actually starting an album project with Kid Mary, the drummer, who you might know from House of Lords, and he's with Flotsam and Jetsam. He's in it, and Jimmy Bell, who plays guitar with the House of Lords, that has been going on for the last 15 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's a project band album put together by the label that reached out to me. So I'm going to be doing that immediately. It's called Sahara, which they took the name from a House of Lords record.
Yep.
Because it has members of House of Lords. I guess that was their thinking. But I got the music. I mean, I'm not a writer on it, but I was really impressed with the music. It's like House of Lords meets Queensryche.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really well done. Really great songwriting and really good performances. It'll be with Ken. I mean, just the demos that I got were great. So I'm imagining those songs played by Ken and everybody else. It's going to be quite good. I'm also doing a thing called the Legends of Classic Rock, which is with Greg D'Angelo, the founding member of White Lion. Terry Luce, who's a singer was with Great White for 12 years or so. And Kevin Jones, who played with Randy Rhoads and Ozzy as the keyboard player. And we basically do songs from our repertoires. Like we'll do Radar Love from White Lion, that version, or we'll do Once Bitten, Twice Shy, the Great White song. So that's another thing I'm doing. I was out with them for 5 weeks, and we're going to be going July 3rd. We're going to Barcelona to start doing some shows. And,
nice.
Yeah. Nice. So that's another thing I'm doing. And, I'm always open. I'm around, so, I'm going to be doing, there's a female singer she's actually on 3 songs on my album named Whitney Ty. Mm-hmm. She's phenomenal. I just did a track for her new album a couple days ago.
Nice.
Really great songwriter. She actually, I asked her to come on board and finish one of my songs with me. So she's a co-writer on the song Time Waits for No One.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Man, you just are such a busy guy. How do you find time to sleep?
Well, yeah, sleep was impossible when you're doing the weekend flyouts with Quiet Riot.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, as much as I love playing those songs, I don't miss the travel. I told people, I get paid to travel. I mean, it's like 2 flights, 3 flights a day, and then you're driving 2 hours to get to the venue. Then you're doing the sound check, and then you're doing the show. Then lobby calls at 3 a.m. and I know people go, well, you shouldn't complain. You're out there playing. I go, well, yeah, but the travel is brutal.
It is.
I'm not a young guy anymore.
No.
So, I've been doing this, 40 years now.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, it's different. It's okay. I like this. I'm happy. It's sad at the same time that I had the time because of the pandemic, but I'm happy that I was able to put out some music that was inside of me and get it out. Yeah.
And it actually inspired you to do, that's the amazing thing about if there is one amazing thing about the pandemic is it inspired a lot of people to do a lot of stuff that they wouldn't normally have time to do. No,
this never would have happened.
Yeah.
If I would have never had the time to just sit down and just start writing and recording and creating, like I said, I encourage people, just go listen to it. I'm not saying, hey, you got to go buy it. Although having the real CD package and all that's great. The album covers by world famous Glenn Wexler, who's my best friend, who's done Van Halen, Rush, Kiss, Black Sabbath, on and on and on covers. And he was getting the songs as I was recording and stuff. Go, hey, check this out. So he really knew what the album was about. Cool. And he came up with this great. But you just go listen to. You can go to YouTube and hear it.
Yeah.
I encourage people to check it out, and maybe they'll want to actually have it.
Well, I'm going to encourage people to buy it because it's great, and I like to encourage people to get the physical copies because that's where coming from that era that you and I come from, having the physical copy is the greatest part about it.
It's a connection, and the thing that's missing, and I feel bad for the youth of today, is that they're missing that experience of going to the record store and going through the albums and maybe hearing something that the guy's playing. And that's how I found out about all the English bands, because the guy at the record store he kind of had an idea what I liked by what I bought. So he goes, you got to get this newspaper magazine. It's called Melody Maker. And it had like, oh, Humble Pie's playing at a club. Who's Humble Pie? Wishbone Ash. Oh, they're playing.
Yeah.
And then when they came to LA, you know, I didn't even have, I tell my mom, I go, hey, can my friend borrow the car so we can go see, you know, whoever it was, Black Sabbath's first concert at the Whiskey I saw.
Wow.
You know? When they first came to LA, I saw, you know, a lot of great bands first shows, like Queen. They did 2 shows back to back when they were a heavy metal band.
Yeah.
You know, Ogre Battle, they were more of that prog rock, heavy metal.
Yeah.
You know, when they first came out. And so that was my education, really, was seeing all these great bands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a trained guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a schooled, you know, I went to GIT for 5 years and now I'm Berkeley or whatever. I just do what I do. And I learned it all from watching all these great bands.
Yeah. I mean, I will say growing up in the 80s, that was some of the best times ever. Is, I mean, picking up that Quiet Riot album and looking at the liner notes and doing all that stuff. And the same with like Def Leppard and Judas Priest, and just looking at the liner notes. And that was the funnest part about it. Yeah.
People today miss that. I mean, and on the other side of it, the positive thing is there's so much footage now out there of older bands that I would have never seen if there wasn't for YouTube.
True.
You can go down the YouTube rabbit hole.
Yes, you can.
Oh, wow. And you see footage from 1972 of a band that you loved. It's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
So that part of it's really great. But again, it's nice to have something you can hold on to physically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chuck, I appreciate your time. And I want to encourage everybody to go out and pick up Sheltering Sky. It's out now. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you live one of these days. So.
Well, I'm sure I'll be out in Salt Lake eventually, you know, with doing something.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a fun town.
It is a very fun town. So
yes.
So we'll stay in touch, and everybody go pick up the album and enjoy. Sounds like you're going to have a fun summer too. So.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a good time.
So thank you for your time.
Okay, nice meeting you.
Good to meet you.